Yeah, come on, welcome back to another exact one. I'm so glad to be here. Today we want to, dive into numbers in Python. So what we want to do is that we really want to break down how to you really master numbers in Python. Like, the last tutorial we're able to look at uh variables and the type of values that we can put into it. We look at text, which is strings. We look at um numbers, we look at characters, we look at boolean, which is true or false. All right, now we want to take a look at something called number. So we really want to meet the number squad. All right, let me just do it. Let's dive in. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to say, you know what, let's meet the number squad. Okay, let me just say 1 2 3, like we always do, paste it there, and just try to use the markdown so that you're going to create something like let me see, 1 2 3 4. You're going to create something like an heading, so you can see we really want to master number this time around. Okay, so what do we really need to understand? So there are different types of number in Python, and how can we really use them? So that is the goal of the class. Okay, so let me just say the goal, lesson goal. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the lesson goal is to master numbers. The lesson goal, okay, let me just put it like this. I just want it to be uniform. 1 2 3 4 5. So the lesson goal is to hold on a sec. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3. Okay, I was wondering, I just want it to be uniform, don't mind me. Okay, so the lesson goal is to the lesson goal is to understand the different type of numbers that we have in Python. The reason why we're making this, breaking this thing down, is that by the time you start building something complex, you will know the genesis, so you wouldn't be struggling. Okay. All right, you just want to really understand how to use numbers, because those are the let me say, the values or things that you're going to be working with. You'll be working with data. You need to know the different type of data that you have in Python. Okay, so basically that's it. So what do you want to know? So let's just do something. Okay, so yeah, we want to start with integers, which is of 3 type. Integers can be a whole number, which is either positive or negative, and it's a whole number, it's not a decimal. So this is going to be a comment. So integers. So then if you really want to really understand integers, either is a whole number or we call it positive and negative. Okay, all right, I'm just trying to comment. So all these things I'm doing is called commenting in Python. Like, you're trying to explain things so that it's going to be understandable. Okay, so yeah, numbers can either be, you leave it under code, so you run it so that you'll be able to see what you're really typing. All right, so integers can be whole numbers, and at the same time it's either positive or negative, and at the same time it's not a decimal. So anytime you heard about a whole number, we're not referring to decimal, we're just referring to the normal number. So imagine you want to print out something. Print is a keyword. Like we normally use keyword, means something that you use to make something happen. It's a custom word, you can't just use it anyhow. So you'll be wondering why I'm using print all this time. You just like want to display something. Imagine you want to print out something from a printer, and you're using a printer to print it out so that you can see it. So print with open and close bracket is what we normally use to print out something like a display. All right, so imagine if I want to print out my age, I want to print out the present temperature, I want to print out probably my score in Python class. Just imagine that, age is a number, it's not in decimal, and temperature, I don't want it to have decimal point, I want it to be negative, and also I want to print out a score. So in Python I can say age. So don't forget that this is a variable, and I'll say age is equals to maybe 20 years. All right, and the temperature, I will just say temperature. all right, is equals to minus 10 minus 6. Okay, I'll just put something, and let me say score. I just want to say score. My score probably it's let me see 50. So all these things, because they are variables, so this type of variable is an integer. Okay, if you want to really know the type of variable, I'm really going to show you right now. So the moment I type this one, then imagine I want to know type. I want to print it. Let me just say type. Okay, what type of variable is age? You can see the way I typed it. Okay, let's see what it goes. It's actually telling us that it is an integer. You can see how cool that is. All right, so what type of variable is temperature? Yeah, here we go. Because it is already at the top, it's going to tell us that it's still an integer because it is a negative. And what type of age is score? Is really going to tell us again that it is an integer. So that is what it means. All right, okay, that is that. Okay, so what if you really want to really see another thing, like let's say float. Okay, let's say float. All right, if you want to really master float, because integer we've done something about it, you really want to master float. And then float can either be decimal, and it's used for probably money or measurement. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Okay, so and let me just show you. All right, so okay, all right, here we go. It's pretty easy. So just picture this as if you are playing a tic-tac-toe game, or you're playing something like a snake and ladder game. All right, so it's something really easy. So if you want to look at price of something, maybe the height, or now we want to see temperature, but we want it to be negative. Yeah, I want it to be in decimal. So let's say I want to know the price of, I love to see maybe the price of something, maybe iPhone 3 point, let me say 200.5. Okay, and I want to know my height. And my height, and I want to say probably, let me say my height is 5.7. You can see all these things because it is in decimal. And I want to let me just use this too. I don't want to use temperature anymore because I've used temperature at the top. So if I should run this code now, it's going to run because there's nothing in there. Imagine if I want to know the type of the data, which is what type of data is there. So if I say price, yeah, you can see this is actually going to tell me that this thing is a float. And if you do the same thing to height, I don't know, probably if you do the same thing to height, or hold on, oh no, so let me say HIGHT. All right, I'm feeling lazy to type, so just ensure that we'll normally click on that play button. And if you don't want to click on that play button, all you have to do is just hold on Shift and Enter on your keyboard. Shift and Enter. So if you hold on Shift and Enter, it's going to tell you that it's float. All right, that is what it means. So another thing I would like to share with you, that we have complex number, which can contain numbers and at the same time character. All right, so what are complex number? That's exactly what we want to take a look at. So complex number is an advanced math type. Probably it includes real number and imaginary part, something that probably is not real. All right, so let me just comment. I'm trying to use a comment so that by the time you're going through this, you will really master it. You'll be able to understand it very much better. Okay, so I'm just going to cite example. All right, this is really interesting. You need to get used to typing. All right, you have to get used to typing. If you're not typing, trust me, you will not master coding. So typing is one of the essential skills you need to master if you really want to type, so that you get used to all those open and close brackets, all those let me say curly brace and plus and minus equals to. You have to get used to this real time. So if you can get used to this, trust me, you wouldn't have issues with coding. All right, let me say this is an imaginary number. Let me say z is equals to 3 plus 4j. All right, 4j. This is just an imaginary number. It's not real. So if I should probably run this, you can see it runs, and I can decide to say what type of number, okay, I'm using type, open and close bracket, and I say, Z. You might be wondering, why exactly are we, doing all of this? We need to get used to things, basically, if you want to build a complex or maybe a mansion, you need to ensure that the foundation is very solid. And that is it. So now that you understand all of this, then another thing you should master is that, you need to understand that you can do some calculations with math math calculations with Python. So like maybe plus, minus, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. All right, so that's it. You can do that as well. So if you really want to do that, let me just show you how to, do that. So let's say, for instance, you want to perform some calculations. Like, okay, let me just see if you can work on that. So okay, let's see if we can work on some calculations. Okay, all right. Okay, let me just add one more to this. So I always like it when it is. So Python can do math calculations. I can do math calculations. Calculations with numbers too. All right, so let's see. So then if you really want to perform some kind of calculation, let's say for instance, I have number 1 is equals to probably 8, and I have number 2 to be equals to 10.5. All right, I don't like to put numbers, so let me convince you. Let me just say 1. So you can see when I'm merging them together, the first letter start with capital. So that's camel casing in naming convention. Don't worry about that. I don't want to stress yourself. So then I want to print out something. What of you I want to print out addition, and it's going to tell me the value. So anytime I put something in quotes, it's going to display that text. So let me say add. So if I should say add now, what this thing is telling me is that you are adding. So what are you adding? I'll put comma. I want to add the number 1 and number 2 together. So if it is addition, that means it is plus. So you paste this one and you plus it, and you copy this as well, and you also paste it. You might be wondering why I put this one in quote and why I just type this out. The reason is that I know that this is a variable, and variable does not have a quote in a print. In a print. So if you want to type a variable, don't put a quote in this when you put it in a print, open and close bracket. But when it is just words, you put it in a quote. All right, so let's run it. You can see this text gives me the value. So I don't have to type it again. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it. So once I do that, then I should be able to either minus. If I want to subtract it, what is it going to give me? So you can see this is minus. Let me see. Oops, I want to reduce the value. Let me say this is 10. And this is just 6.7. So I run it again. I want to run it again. Let me press shift and enter. You can see. Or let me press shift and enter. You can see, give me 3.3. So what if I want to probably divide? So divide is going to be like something like this. So I will say subtract. I will say subtract. Okay, you can see. I will say divide. I will say divide. I will say shift and enter. You can see divide, and let me say multiply. Multiply. You can see it's easy. Just play with this. You don't need to multiply. All right. So if you say multiply, that means you're going to use something like let me show you something like this. All right. So I just want you to see how it goes. So let me just run it. So there are so many other things you can do with this, but this is where we're actually going to stop for now. And obviously, I don't want to add too much of stuff, but this is what you've just learned in a nutshell. All right. You're able to master Python. Let me just show you right now. You're able to master that Python deals with number, okay? And once it deals with number, we need to understand that if it deals with number, the number can be there normally, but that number we're talking about can either be real, which is a whole number, can be float, and can be complex. Okay, so once you're able to master this, then you also know that you can perform some calculations with this math calculation with numbers. Okay, all right, this is brilliant. So if you should understand this, then you're good. So basically that's what we've been doing. And we're able to use print statement. Print, this thing, print. Combining text, which is a string, with what? Variable. All right, that's exactly what we've been doing. So in your head, we're able to use type to know the type of data we are working with. So this is what we use to know the type of data. And this is what we normally use to print out something. And we're able to know that numbers can do so many things for us. Numbers can be real, numbers can be float, and numbers can be complex. But that's exactly what we achieved today. All right, guys. I know this might sound, we've been working on something really, really, really cool. Like you really need to master this. Trust me, it's something that you should do. So we're able to master numbers. We're able to understand what we need to know, the type of numbers that we have. We have integers, we have floats, and we have complex. And we're able to know that we can perform some basic mathematical calculations with Python. All right, like I said, I don't want to make anything complex, but this is where I'm actually going to stop for now. In the next tutorial, we're going to dive into something more awesome. And until then, see you in the next one. Bye.